Boys. Good morning, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Callum Osmond, he's one that we're talking about this morning. Callum Osmond is obviously out injured for a big period of time. I reckon that Callum Osmond's going to be out injured for anything between 4 to 6 months. But the young man went through some hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And you might be thinking, what on earth is that? It's basically a big oxygen tank. And fair play to the young guy, he went through 10 sessions in one of these oxygen tanks. And basically what that does is help his recovery, which you've got to say, it shows you how modern medicine and especially for football players is it's unbelievable, isn't it? So what is this therapy that he's actually had? Well, it's a medical treatment where you breathe in 100% pure oxygen in a pressurized chamber, increasing oxygen levels in your blood to speed up healing, fight infections, reduce swelling, and promote new blood vessels growth for damaged tissues in conditions like injuries, crust injuries and stuff like that, and the type of injury that obviously Callum Osmond has had. So fair play to Celtic for putting the young lad through this, and you know, it shows you how. I mean, we were talking yesterday about the fact that young players don't get the chance at Celtic and that, and this guy's obviously getting his chances. He is only 19-year-old. He's good enough. You know, he looks as if he's going to be some player for Celtic, and the fact that that Celtic have put him through this oxygen treatment is quite remarkable, really. I don't think that when you look back to old players, that it reduces injury time. No, what it does is it does speed up the process, but he's still looking to be out up until 4 months. So, I mean, even 4 months from now, it's the end of the season. So he knew at the time that his season was pretty much over. I don't think he'll be able to have an impact come the end of the season due to the fitness factor, you know, getting back up to game fitness. But what it does say is that he's walking on his own. He's walking without the aid of a walking stick or anything now. So what it has done is it speeded up that process where he now can walk after some physio sessions. So he's able to walk again. The hamstring that he suffered was a nasty one, but it is it's good news. It's not good news that the fact he's not going to be back in 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, it's impossible. But what it does do is it obviously helps the body repair itself quicker. He completed 10 sessions of it, and they are absolutely thrilled to see him walking again confidently on his own. That's fantastic. Seeing clients like Callum achieve such major milestones is the true highlight of our work, and it's about getting back to normal and getting better. That's our mission, says the company that they obviously went through this with. Is there a chance we could see him before the end of the season? Well, you don't want him to rush back too quick. Look at Alistair Johnston. Look at Kieran Tierney. You know how many hamstring injuries has Kieran Tierney had over the years? Celtic will know that they don't. I mean, Kieran Tierney, a lot of Celtic fans think that Kieran Tierney's knackered. He's nowhere near knackered, but the reoccurrence of injuries that Kieran's had over his career, Celtic will know that they need to go all out with this young lad to get him the best of the best. You know, get him to recover, because there's a chance that he could be a 25, 30, 35 million pound striker for Celtic in years to come. He's shown some promise under Martin O'Neill. He wasn't given a chance. He wasn't given a chance by Brendan Rodgers, and he's the type of player that I think will excel under Wilfred Nancy. And I noticed that Sky put out a Wilfred Nancy interview this morning. Once again, they didn't put it out on Twitter first, did they? They put it out straight onto. Let me just see if Sky Sports Scotland put it out. Which reaffirms what I was saying last week when Celtic, Sky Sports Scotland, when Celtic stopped fan media going in, because I think that there's a very big thing going on in the background when it comes to, yeah, it's not been put out on social media. It's been put straight onto YouTube this morning, so that they own the copyright through YouTube. Let's just see Sky Sports. Yeah, went out an hour ago, and this is all about. Do you know there are some sneaky channels out there that put out every single piece of content that Sky does about Celtic, and they put it on a YouTube channel, so that they get it out on the YouTube before Sky News gets it on. Sky News this morning put out this piece with Wilfred Nancy talking about transfer, and it was a sit-down interview with Wilfred Nancy, and they've put that out on YouTube rather than straight onto social media for copyright reasons. I still stand by my fact that, I mean, people will say that, you know, it's Celtic hiding behind mainstream media, not allowing Celtic bloggers to get in, but the way that I'm seeing it and the way that I'm reading it, personally, I think it's all to do with copyright. But we move on from that. We get back to talking about Callum Osmond. So Callum Osmond's obviously out until the end of the season. It's good that he's had. He got a few games where he could kind of show what he did. Jim watched that interview. Top of the morning run. Let's put the jam farts back in their nailed box and nailed it shut. I don't think we'll nail it shut. I think that what will happen is Celtic will definitely take a step forward to regaining top spot in the league, because there was a bit of a change in the SPFL league last night after a certain team managed to win at Kilmarnock. I says that they would win. I didn't think anything. I didn't think anything else. I mean, I was kind of hoping a wish that Kilmarnock would do anything. When you look at Kilmarnock's league position, it said that I didn't expect them to drop 3 goals though, but I believe that there was a goal dropped off by VAR later on. But what it does do is it does put the South Korean, known as the Rangers, up into 4th position on 26 points. Motherwell are on 26 points. Celtic are also they're on 32 points, the same as Hearts. So it does make the race for 3rd position quite tidy, because I mean, they've got a game in hand, and I hate the fact that they've got a game in hand, and the fact that the teams above them haven't pushed further forward points wise, because Rangers will be sitting looking at that and going, yeah, we'll get into 3rd position, no problem. And then they'll think that they can bash on, and hopefully Hearts will implode a bit more. I'm hoping that Hibernian and Motherwell keep pushing on. If you're wanting a good SPFL, I mean, people talk about wanting a fantastic SPFL. If you're wanting a good SPFL, you need a strong Motherwell, you need a strong Hibs, you need a strong Aberdeen. Aberdeen need to keep their winning run going, and taking points off the team that are sitting in 4th position. Anyway, that's enough about that. Let's talk a bit about the game today and what we might expect from the manager. Will he change formation today? Will he, I mean, what players? Will he play Kelechi Iheanacho, a player that was brought in, with a big experience tag put on his back, and he's kind of dropped out as well. Who will the manager start as the striker tomorrow? Will he start with Johnny Kenny? Will he start with Daisen Maeda? I mean, the manager said in the interview today, look, I've only had 2 days. I've had 2 days in training with the players. You know, ideally you would want 4 or 5 weeks. Talking about getting a pre-season in with the players. He's not going to get a pre-season. He's got 2 days. Let's hope he doesn't change it too much, because I think that if he does, he got a goal chopped off and a penalty shout again not looked at. It's ridiculous. Offside. Wow. That's like we say. People saying there was blatant cheating. Blatant cheating in the game last night. Nothing surprises me, but we move on. Iheanacho, will he even get on the bench today? Because if he doesn't get on the bench, what is the point in keeping Iheanacho longer than we need to? I know that he's got a contract until the end of this season, and he's also got the option of another year's contract. Celtic will not give him the other year's contract. They will release him straight after this season, I would have thought. I don't think that. I mean, I think he's had one good game where he got a goal ruled offside. It was a handball. It came off his head, and the referee said that it come off his arm, where it was clearly came off his head, and it was ruled offside. Other than that, I don't think that he's brought a lot to Celtic. He's maybe not been given the chance, obviously, but he's another one that has been injured. Chris Sutton's been talking, as he always does, reckons that Wilfred will drop points. Negativity. We don't need that negativity. His Stuart Finlay reveals his inside intel on Wilfred Nancy. I love it how they're all starting to try and get intel on Wilfred Nancy in the way that they think that he's going to play at Celtic. Because I think that if he comes in and changes anything too quick, people will pounce on that. Stuart Finlay got a close up of Wilfred Nancy's management style during his spell at Philadelphia Union. The Hearts defender is also best pals with Columbus Crew ace, who spent last year working under him. Findlay reckon there's no need for inside info on Nancy ahead of this afternoon's top of the table clash. It was when he was manager of Montreal CF. Some people put it Montreal CF, other people write it as CF Montreal. I have no idea. Hearts look to complete a home and away double over the hoops this afternoon. Not a chance. Not a chance. It was interesting that Wilfred Nancy spoke in that interview today and spoke about the fact that, sometimes this team doesn't like playing at Celtic Park. And I've said that before. I've said that going right back to Ronnie Dyler. Ronnie Dyler's team didn't like playing at Celtic Park. Although you had that big empty space up the top of Celtic Park at the time, but Ronnie Dyler's team were far better on the road. The away fans were more in tune with the manager, and the fact that you've got the away fans kind of singing the majority of the game, and then when you come to Celtic Park, but the manager also said that some of these players have egos, and some players have egos when they play at home, their egos aren't being stroked enough by the fan base. It's an interesting one. Was that a little kind of, he's been speaking to Martin O'Neill, and it'd be interesting if Martin O'Neill said, look, at my time at Celtic first time round, he said, the one thing that I've noticed is at Celtic Park in my first time 25 years ago, the stadium would be completely rocking, and the noise would be unbelievable in most games. And then I've came to Celtic this time, and the fan base have changed. The players have said to me, the pressure of 60,000 people on edge, it has to be said, on edge, and that rubs off onto the players, and some of the players don't like that. There's not every player that becomes a superstar. To become a superstar, you need to do it on the pitch. But when you've got 60,000 people putting pressure on you, but if you want to be a top player, let's be said, if you want to be a top player, you have to play at big stadiums, and if you want to be a top player at a top club, you're going to have big crowds. So that maybe says more about some of these Celtic players. And it was interesting that the manager did say that some of these players don't like playing at home because of the pressure. But he also said that we like playing at home because it's our home ground, and that we're going to need to go out and entertain. So it's going to be an interesting one this afternoon. for the teams. Helen's going for 2-0. Give me early predictions. What do you think the scoreline will be? I would take a nervy 1-0 today. Wilfred Nancy will need and should get 2 transfer windows to rebuild the team with his philosophy. I think that he'll get a lot of players. I mean, I still say that we're going to bring in 7 players. We need 7 players in this window just to make the squad better. And then it'll be interesting to see what he does in the summer, because I don't want him bringing in squad players in the summer. You might bring in squad players this window, but I want him to go out in the summer window. I want him to identify players for the summer and for us to get them in quick, so that if we get them in quick, he knows that he's then got that pre-season. He knows that he'll have had conversations with the Celtic hierarchy talking about the. God, Michelle, you're cheery this morning. A 1-1 or 2-2. I think that whatever the manager does in this window, I don't think he should be judged too much on the winter window. I think that he'll be judged more, and the board will be judged more. The board will be judged more on the summer window. But anyway, that's a long time away. I want a 3 or 4 1, but more realistically, a 2-1. Michelle's going for 1-1 or 2-2. I would happily take a 1-0 or 2-1. Probably squeaky bum time. I don't think so, because Hearts aren't playing fantastic. I mean, when you look at Hearts and the fact that they've dropped points, do you know, when you look at the results that Hearts have had over the last couple of weeks as well, I mean, it's not great reading for them. You know, they'll know that they're coming to the top of the table clash, and you know they've not had an easy run of it. There's the teams. SPFL website is the worst sometimes. Why is it not going to teams? I'll tell you what, come out this and then I'll go on to matches. When you look at the previous matches that Hearts have had, I mean, we go back to when they beat Rangers in September. You're thinking, yep, you know they're on a good run. They beat Rangers 2-0. They then go to match day 6. They play Falkirk at home. They beat Falkirk 3-0. They beat Hibs 1-0. They go away to Kilmarnock. They win 3-0. They play Celtic at home and win 3-1 on the 26th of October. And then they go to St Mirren and it's a 2-2 draw. And you're thinking, oh, interesting. They've just dropped points. On the 29th of October. The same weekend that Celtic lose a manager, they drop points. They then are back at home. So they were away to St Mirren. At home, they're doing well. Kilmarnock away, they did okay. Hearts then won 4-0 to Dundee in the 1st of November. And then they dropped points at home to Dundee United. It was 1-1 Dundee United. And then Aberdeen beat them 1-0. And you're thinking, interesting. And then they draw again with Motherwell away 0-0. All the big score lines that they had at the beginning of the season have all disappeared. You know, they're not scoring loads of goals. And then when you get to after the Aberdeen game, they obviously had Motherwell, they drew 0-0. And then Kilmarnock at Hearts 1-1. 3rd of December. It's got draw written all over it, but 1-0 win for Celtic would be absolutely fantastic. And what a turnaround that would be to totally implode in a month's time. The Waterford Hearts are dropping points all over. Yeah, I mean, they are dropping points all over the place. So for me, they're due another loss. I mean, they'll be thinking that they're due a win. But when you look at that run, I mean, you go back to the match day 1. They beat Aberdeen first game of the season. Dundee United, second game of the season. They win 3-2 away to Dundee United. The League Cup, they win 5. They get put out the League Cup by St Mirren. 5-4 penalties. It was 1-1. It was 5-4 in penalties, wasn't it? And then Hearts, Motherwell in August, 3-3. Livingston, they beat Livingston 2-1. Rangers 2-0. They went through a good phase. You've got to remember, we have gone through our bad phase. We've got the crappy. Every team has a crappy section during the season. So I think that they're going through their bad spell at the moment. They'll come good again, but I hope it's not today. I hope it's not on the road today, and I can't see it being on the road today because they'll be nervy. They'll be really nervy about coming to Celtic Park because they'll know that. I think they'll play defensive as hell and try and hit us on the break. They'll sit and say, just soak up the pressure and hit us on the break. And I think that Wilfred Nancy will thrive on that. I think he'll thrive on it, and the way that when you look at the 5-minute Lennoxtown Unfiltered. Let's talk about that for a minute because the Lennoxtown Unfiltered videos have went under Brendan Rodgers have been around about showing you 30 seconds of Celtic manager training the players, or it wasn't even Brendan Rodgers training the players, it was the backroom staff. But yesterday Celtic put out a 5.5 minute Lennoxtown Unfiltered, and the manager is right in the thick of it, and he's encouraging players, and he's telling them to hurry up. He's telling them, you're taking too long on the ball. It's one touch pass. You only take one touch, look up, pass. One touch, look up, pass. It's the type of Celtic football that we've played before. We have played it before, and it's when Celtic are at their best. When you look at European teams, Brendan Rodgers' style of football, too many touches, passing it, control, keeping possession. Yeah, fucking great for stats. Shite to look at and shite to watch at times. But when, give him his due, when he got Celtic playing one-touch pass stuff, it was fantastic. So if Wilfred Nancy can then bring that in, and we really attack them, and we really put pressure on. He's all about putting pressure on right up against them. They may sit and go, Celtic are shit at the back. We've got the speed to get past them. I don't think so. You'll see a lot of long balls coming out for Hearts today, that's for sure. But scoreline, I personally am going to go for 2-0 Celtic. So I'll get my scoreline in there. I'm going to go Celtic 2. There we go. There's my scoreline put up on the chat. Right, let's jump back into the comments. Let's say I was impressed with the training video with the manager. Yeah, I thought it was good. And it all goes along the way of controlling. It's all about copyright. Everything's about copyright now. Sky putting that interview out on YouTube first rather than putting it out on social media. They would usually put it straight onto Twitter. There's obviously been conversations between the mainstream media and Celtic. And Celtic and mainstream media would be sick to the teeth of any fans media. We're all under this one umbrella now of fans media, even if you're just a YouTube channel of fan media, putting out content before Celtic or before Sky on a platform where they can get paid for it. So it just means that it's going to be harder for some channels to put out some content going forward. But you just need to up your game. But yeah, it was a cracking video. I really enjoyed the video. We need to hit Hearts right from the first whistle. Consistent pressure, goals in the first 20 minutes. If we score in the first 20 minutes, it's always the same at Celtic Park. You get a good first half. They'll come into it the second half. There'll be periods in the game where Hearts will have a goal. Don't worry about that. I mean, they're not going to. It's not going to be an easy. We're not going to tank them. Put it that way. I don't think that we'll tank them. I think they'll give us good as. Celtic 2, Diets 1. Can all the players who keep up with the one-touch pass since they came from Rogers' style? I That's an interesting comment. Can all the players we have keep up with the one-touch pass since they came from Rogers' style? Brendan Rodgers' early football at Celtic was one-touch pass. If you think back to the season where we romped the end of the league, and then the beginning of the next season, and Europe, in the Champions League, especially, there was a lot of one-touch pass stuff. Brendan Rodgers somehow managed to slow that down. He would come out in the media and say that, look, I don't want the team to pass about the back. So I think the players can play one-touch pass, and under Martin O'Neill, they showed that they can use the width of the pitch, and I think that will give the players a lot of positivity. Do you know, players listen to good managers and good tactics and things that they can, that make them, if they think that this is going to take them to the next level personally, the players will be buzzing for that. Even Callum McGregor, at his age and his experience, he'll be buzzing for it because, you know, he'll say that it's leveling the boys up. And if you level the boys up, you know what happens. They'll get a move at some point, but fair play to them. Can they play that type of football? Yes, they can. You play it in spells, and then we seem to go back. When one of the best times that you see us playing it is when Liam Scales does it. When Liam Scales is in the mood and he's one-touch pass and stuff, trusty one-touch pass. Under Brendan Rodgers, that's when we played our best football. When Scales, and I'm not picking on Scales, I'm just talking about when we were working our way out from the back. When Scales takes one touch, two touch, three touch, the rest of the team, it then affects the rest of the team because they're having to then think. And football players, I know the brightest bunch sometimes, just saying, they don't like to think because when they start to when they've got to think, football players, it fucks everything up. Just get natural talent, one touch pass. Do you know what I mean? He's not got time to even think. He just goes boom, boom, right, moving forward. We're aiming for the goal, and that's when football players are at their best. I think that Brendan Rodgers put too much into the possession game, the changing point of attack, having to make players think about. I mean, it's okay having the likes of Callum McGregor, Scott Brown in the midfield, thinking about the game and learning the game. You don't want a full team of players analysing the pitch. You want a winger. He's got one job: get the ball for the full back to the winger, and the winger goes up the pitch and crosses it in. That's the only job a winger should have. A winger doesn't need to be coming in to narrow the pitch and make it harder. Get him out on the byline, get him out on the touchline, get him out on the wing and just say, get the ball to him, one-on-one, and take on your player. That's what wingers want to do. It's called playing football. And I think that Brendan Rodgers sucked the life out of that. Ange Postecoglou, you could say he did that. You know, it was fast attacking football. So it's going to be interesting today to see. Yes, Flying Column, I'm doing a watch along today. I'll get it all set up once I've done this live. I'll be live an hour and a half before, and we'll be live during the game for Wilfred Nancy's first game as Celtic manager. The training video was good. Intensity and man management, yeah, it was that. 1987, 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. Then 2-2. 1997, 1-0, Burley, Blackback. December. Is that 2011? 1-0, Victor Wanyama. Foster saves last minute penalty. We've been here before. There we go. Sky's rancid English channel. Far too up England's football. Yeah. But it is one of the organisations that does do a lot of Scottish football stuff. Do you know, there's no other channel out there that does a lot of Scottish football news, and I think that I still believe that the whole reason that there was no fan media and Sky never put anything out on Twitter, which was a first, because Sky, when it's the Celtic press conference, always put something out on Twitter first before Celtic release their media conference. Now, it was interesting on Friday that Celtic ripped up the rule book, said that no fan media are getting in. We're going to go live with the press conference, so that way they get it out first. They own the copyright. And then Sky did their interview and put that out this morning straight onto YouTube. So it's all about the copyright on YouTube, you know. And a lot of the Celtic media guys will be like, "No, it's fuck all to do with that. It's fucking Celtic being cunts." I think that when you step back and you look at it from a wider angle, yes, there will be a bit of that, but it's all about owning the copyright from Sky and Celtic. I don't like to admit it, but I think that's a massive part to play with it, especially when you see how much content gets put onto YouTube. Have we any injured players coming back in January? No. Alistair Johnston's going to be further than January, mate. I think Alistair Johnston's going to be out until around about March, April. I think he's going to be longer than what you think. What time's kickoff? It's at 3:00 today. Yeah, Jota will be the first one back, and he's looking about February, March. That's the reason that we need to bring in 7 players this window. Do you know? Too slow to watch. Yeah, it'll be good to see us playing more attacking football. For Hearts being so-called challengers, Tony Bloom should be asking why 10 behind the ball versus Celtic. They've already peaked, in my opinion. Motherwell will finish the season higher than them. I don't think so, Joe. I think if you listen to what the Hearts said at their AGM the other day, Hearts said that they're surprised at where they are in the league this season. It's only because Celtic and Rangers are so bad this season. Every team goes through a bad spell. Their plan is they've got a 10-year plan to win the league in the next 10 years. And to take away the dominance of Celtic and Rangers. I think that they're more than likely to take away Rangers as a second dominant force in Scottish football. Celtic are miles ahead cash-wise. We're miles ahead with a lot of things. Listen, we're miles behind when it comes to the academy. Hearts Academy is going to start producing players over the next 3-4 years. And we are miles behind that. Hence the reason that we've got to go out and get a player like Callum Osmond at 19-year-old. When have we ever brought in a 19-year-old and put him straight into the first team? And he's been in and around first team training. Anytime that we buy a 19-year-old, he's put into the B team and you never sees the light of day at Celtic. You know, Callum Osmond's been brought in. Celtic have learned from the Daniel Cummins nightmare. They've learned from the Rocco Vata. I mean, Rocco Vata's on the verge of a 20 million move in the next window, I believe. How he's valued at 20 million, I have no idea. But I don't think that Hearts have peaked. Hearts have got £10 million in the bank, cash. They're the second highest club with cash in the bank after Celtic. That reserve will see them good over the next couple of years. If Hearts get into Europa, say Hearts were to go one better than, say Celtic get into the Champions League next year through the playoffs, and say Hearts managed to get a fluky draw and get into the Champions League, that would put them miles in front of Rangers, absolutely miles in front of Rangers. So, and Rangers will be aware of that, and that's why they see, and that's what I think, that Hearts are the biggest threat, and it's all about what the manager does at Hearts in the next window. Can he bring in players? Because ultimately, Hearts' aim this year is to try and finish second or third. I think that they will know that, they've had a bad spell over the last month. Can they overcome that? Can Derek McInnes overcome it? Derek McInnes got Aberdeen to final after final against Celtic. No, he done well. He pushed Celtic for a good few years. They'll be hoping to try and replicate that at Hearts. He sees Hearts as his best opportunity to try and put pressure on Celtic. But we'll wait and see. Wilfred looks like a strong character. We'll get the players to do their appropriate jobs. Oh, their appropriate jobs, and to just play football. I mean, that's all that he's brought in for, isn't it? We may struggle to keep Alistair Johnson after the World Cup if he excels. I've just seen that one. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'll tune in if I could prune the young fellow off my arm. Cheers, mate. 2-0 Celtic. If the 3 p.m. rule for broadcasting on a Saturday was lifted, Celtic could stream the games and make a fortune. It's never going to happen, though. Yeah. I don't think that Alistair. I mean, if Alistair Johnson makes the World Cup, it'll be something else. I mean, will they risk him? Well, somebody's at the door. I don't know who's at the door. I'm live on YouTube. Jenny, do you mind Alistair Johnson at Lionstown? Yeah, no, you're going to have to go. I'm live. I can't like just fuck off onto YouTube. Yeah, I know. That's unfortunate. Anything? Hello? Uh, yeah, let me just. I'm probably have to come in the conference left. Yep. Yeah, give me 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've got a car. Yeah. Yeah. Women's car's broke down. Anyway, right. That is me done and dusted for this morning. I'm going to go and sort this good jump leads for this women's car. Where are the jump leads? And then they're in the boot, aren't they? Celtic TV would be world champions at buffering. Yeah, they would that. The Polish know that they're hiding in Costa del Sol, in Costa del Crime. Yeah, that's Ann Summers' delivery. Yeah, so it is. Celtic now, Celtic 4-1 today. That'd be a good result. Anyway, right, that is me done and dusted for this morning. I'm going to go and save this Women's Day. That's Sam Walker at the door. Oh Jesus! If you follow that clown, um, if you follow that clown, you're worse than me. He can't leave England now. He's back in England and he can't leave. Anyway, right. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world. I'll see you an hour and a half before kickoff as we see the very first team of the new manager, Wilfred Nancy.